Hi guys, I get a lot of people asking about the state of the internet on the island, or who they should go with, or whether it's any good, that sort of stuff. And I get tagged a lot in some of the Facebook groups for Phillip Island. So I thought I'd just put a video together. I'll try and keep it as brief as I can, just to tell you what the best thing you can do is for these situations on the island. First of all, for 4G, so for your mobile stuff, please go Telstra. Don't bother with Optus unless you know you're right next to a tower. Just for your reference, there are 13 Telstra towers on the island from last count, and there are only 6 Optus towers. Now, Optus claim they keep upgrading those towers, but they never add any more, which is a disappointment for both sides, for Telstra and for Optus. Telstra, the last tower that they added was one on the corner of Ventnor, the Cows Ventnor Road and Pyramid Rock Road. But I don't know what's wrong with it, because half the time it doesn't seem to work. There are some black spots on the island for 4G reception. The primary ones would be Sunset Strip, Smith's Beach. There is a little section between Ventnor and Red Rocks, which also doesn't seem to have any reception. Plus Rhyll, in certain areas of Rhyll, because it's below the hillside from the towers, then that also doesn't get reception. I mean, it's pretty bad on the island, to be honest. We need a lot more towers. For example, Smith's Beach has been having mobile reception issues for decades, and I originally suggested to Telstra to put a tower on the top of the general store in Smith's Beach, and I even tried to speak to a lot of the community people there to suggest, look, why don't you all band together and complain to Telstra at the same time, and then they can put a tower up. I spoke to Telstra Countrywide, who quoted me $40,000 to put a tower on their roof. I don't know if it costs that much. I wouldn't have thought so, but I was only suggesting a micro tower. I wasn't even suggesting a big one, but oh well, there you go. So yeah, that's a real disappointment. And obviously I do see a lot of people complaining about the reception in Sunset Strip. You've got to bear in mind that, as I said before, there are 13 Telstra towers, only 6 Optus towers, so you really do have to work out where those towers are and whether you're going to get any good reception. Obviously 4G is better outside, so you could always walk outside and try and take your phone call, work out where the nearest tower is, and obviously just look. Line of sight is very important, and obviously it is a bit difficult in Australia because we have a passion for tin roofs, for colorbond roofs, which of course has a problem with reception. Plus also there's a thing called sarking, which they put in the walls, which has metal on it as well, so that reduces the ability for those waves to get through all of these different materials. So for NBN, the best thing I can recommend is to make sure you move into a house that actually has the NBN already set to the home. That's really the best option that you have. So look at the new estates like White Sands on Justice Road, Seagrove on Settlement Road, I've just gone blank on the name of the other one, Silverwater, or the Shearwater estate down by the golf club. That has NBN as well to the premises. So they're all the types of places that are the best ones to go for. If you're going to move into an older building, then probably one of the things that you need to ask is, does this property have a phone point? Where is it? When was the last time it had something connected to it? Have you ever seen a phone point? Look around for a phone point. More than likely you will see a little box. It's usually only about sort of that big, no bigger than a phone, slightly larger phone with a T on it for Telstra. Have a look around for that and check where it is. My biggest recommendation for you though, if you do go for for NBN to the home, is to rip out all the phone cables. Don't mess about. Get someone in to remove all the cables, remove all the phone points, put a new one in from that Telstra box to wherever you want the modem, and that's it. From there you can be guaranteed that the cabling that you have in the house is going to be top notch, so at least that part of it is good. For someone to install those cables for you, then my recommendation, I'll give a shout out to Marty from Mav TV. He's great, he's very reasonable, and he's very helpful. He can run you LAN cables as well. So if you need a LAN cable from say the modem to your TV down the other end of the house, or up into the second, first floor or whatever, then you he'll do that for you. And that's a great way of doing it, because you can put an end plate in and then just plug a cable in at the other end, and if you need a modem or a router or something upstairs, then you can do that. An extender, I should say. Things not to get. NBN wireless. It's an abomination. Don't go there. Refuse it with military action if you have to. It should never have existed. It's disgusting. The maximum speed is 25 megabits per second. As I say, it's an abomination. Do not accept it. Satellite. This is also awful. Do not do it. Don't go there. It's terrible. It's rubbish. Maybe Elon Musk's Skynet satellite system will be great, but hey, we're going to be waiting for that for a long time, and more than likely there's going to be lobbyists trying to stop him from launching them, and falsely paranoid, ridiculously paranoid people thinking that it's all really, really scary, and that it's going to melt the brain and that sort of stuff. No, it's not. But it might not be very good. That's the problem, because everyone's going to try and connect to it. So you're going to need a lot of bandwidth, and I don't think we can do that right now. So in summary, best things you can choose. If it's NBN, then obviously it's whatever you can get. You're going to have to accept whatever the speed is that you get. Please talk to me so I can help you try and find out what your maximum speed is, or to your internet provider. There are different speed tests that you can do. I don't recommend using speedtest.net because they do get sponsorship, and a lot of the time that sponsorship is from Foxtel or Optus, whoever the flavour of the month is. So I have a suspicion, well actually I've done tests and I've seen that the speed tests are different. You're usually slower through speedtest.net, and then they try and recommend that you go with another provider because they'll provide you with a faster internet speed. So yeah, just stick to ozspeedtest.com, so ozspeedtest.com, and that will find your closest server. If you go with Aussie Broadband, then Aussie Broadband have their own speed test, which is speed.aussiebroadband.com.au, but you can only use that if you're a customer. If your only option is 4G, then there are several options available for you. You could try your phone to start with, but obviously bear in mind that phone antennas are tiny, and the modem that's in a phone is not that great. So the wireless side of things to all your other devices is not good. You put more than say 3 or 4 devices on there, they're probably either the phone's going to crash, it's going to get too hot, burst into flames. It won't. Well, it might do, but probably not. But also you're just not going to get very good internet. So if you do go for 4G, at least test it with your phone first, see how good the reception is, but just bear in mind again, if you've got tin roof or if you've got walls that are brick, for example, you're not going to get great signal. So you could find a window, work out where the nearest tower is, stick your phone on the window so it can see the tower, literally is line of sight, and see how that goes. You can get the 4G pebbles, which are usually sort of around the size of a mobile phone as well, and they have a SIM card in them. The antennas are slightly better, the router that's in it is slightly better, so it will connect more devices. They claim 10. Yeah, it might connect 10 devices, but the internet speed for all of them will be pretty crap. Just bear that in mind. You can get one of those, they're okay, but what you can do is get yourself a proper modem which has a SIM card slot in the back. And then you plug your SIM card in, you plug that in, you want to put it somewhere where it can actually get good reception as well. Maybe not on a windowsill, but somewhere nearby where it can see line of sight as well, and then you can connect other stuff to that. And that obviously is a lot more powerful because it has a plug that goes into the power supply, into the mains. Alternatively, if you are going to go for 4G, a much better option is to get yourself an antenna, run a cable down into the house, and then have a router on the other end. Another shout out to Marty from Mav TV. He can help with this. He'll be able to install the antenna on the roof. He'll be able to run the cable down to where you need it, put an end plate in, and then you can run a cable to your router wherever you want that to be. A recommendation is to put the router near your TV, if that's where your center of your house is. If you do need it in an office, you have to kind of work out where the office is going to be in relation to everything else. If it's close, great, but if it's right down the other end of the house, then probably what you're going to need to do is install the antenna, run the plug down, and then probably run a cable to the other end of the house, because it will be cheaper to run a cable than it will be to get loads of Wi-Fi extenders like a Google Nest, and then just have an extender at the other end. But yeah, definitely the best place to put it is usually behind the TV if you want to have it for Netflix and that sort of stuff, or near the TV, so it can just be in that home area, or if it's primarily for your office, then you put it in your office. There's nothing to say that you can't run it to the TV area and then get a cable installed going down to the other end, and then just have a wall plate, an end plate, and then run a cable to your modem or your desktop if that's all you need down the other end. Again, Marty is very reasonable, and he's done this stuff for me, and I highly recommend him. He's fantastic. So a little end note about complaints. This is a difficult one because the NBN have basically made themselves untouchable. They report to no one. They are a separate entity. The only government body that potentially has responsibility for the NBN is the Department of Arts and I can't remember what it is. It's absolutely absurd. I don't understand why this particular government branch would be responsible for the NBN. Clearly it's been done on purpose so that they can't be audited, they can't be investigated. You can go to the Ombudsman, but when you go to the Ombudsman, you're complaining about your internet provider, and generally it's not their fault that the internet is terrible, because it's the NBN that are causing the problem in the first place. The only exception to this is with Telstra, Optus, iPrimus, and Dodo, and iiNet as well, where they basically overload the bandwidth, they abuse the bandwidth, and have too many people on there, and then it slows it down. So if you are going to go for a new provider, even if you're with someone already, I would highly recommend that you go for Aussie Broadband or Republica. They're the two that seem to have the most morals regarding the NBN and the plans, and they've put their hand up, at least Aussie Broadband have, and said we will not overload the bandwidth that we have. So if someone's using a lot more bandwidth than other people, they'll stick them on a new bit of bandwidth, and therefore everybody has an even cut, and they're okay. They don't get any slow speed loss or anything like that. That's at least from their point of view, but obviously the infrastructure as a whole is appalling anyway. So you're definitely going to get issues with your speed going up and down. But let me make this clear. When there are more people on the island, the NBN doesn't slow down, okay? That doesn't happen. That's not how the infrastructure works. 4G, that's a different story. Definitely with an extra 20,000 people on the island, oh yeah, it does slow down. And that is because a lot of the time the towers have some idle cells. So those big white blocks that are on there, they're cells, hence the name cell tower. Those get turned off when they're not in use, which is a problem because they don't come back on again when they're needed, you know, at Christmas time, or if we've got something on at the track. They usually turn them on, but I know from experience a couple of times that Telstra Countrywide forgot to turn on the cells. So there were an extra 100,000 people at the racetrack or something, and they couldn't get any reception. And there was a particular Christmas where Optus, basically we had SOS for 7 days. I literally had to drive all the way to Bass to get my messages when I was with Virgin. So I cancelled my plan, and I went to the Ombudsman, and I got my money back, and I got my phone as well. I paid off $50 for my phone, I think it was, at the time, and that was it. I'd cancelled and went to Telstra, and yay, happy ever since. So yeah, in summary, if you're going to go 4G, make sure it's Telstra. If you're going to go NBN, make sure it's Aussie Broadband. Do not touch NBN wireless. Do not touch satellite. If you need cables and stuff like that installed, please speak to Marty from Mav TV. I'll tag him in this. And obviously speak to me if you need any help with your home network. I have plenty of cables, plenty of experience with setting up modems, plenty of experience with setting up Netflix, making sure all your bandwidth is working well, testing things, testing your home system, etc, etc. So I hope this helps. I'm sorry if it wasn't brief enough. I'll try and trim it as much as I can. This has been Highland Computers. You know where to find me. Links are in here. Like and subscribe to my YouTube page if you can. Please give me some feedback. I would love to get some good reviews on Google Business as well. That would I'd really appreciate that, and that does help my business. But any problems, feel free to give me a call. Thanks.